And the next day, he saddled up his horse, and he rode off into the mists of autumn. But perhaps it was chance, or perhaps it was a skein of fate, stitched by the far distant moons. But as he rode out from his farm, on an anthill, his horse stumbled, pitching him down to the ground, and then the horse turned to go back to his farm. And Gunnar looked up, and he saw from his homestead his wife and his mother must be baking bread, because he could smell it. And it seemed to him he heard the lament of Gunhild, his wife, singing in sadness that her husband had left her. And so quietly he went back home. Blood will have blood, the ripples spread. Soon the news went throughout the lands. Gunnar had come back. Gunnar had come back. And many men listened, relatives of Trollskild, but others who knew that if he waited over long, his lands would be forfeit. For he would be an outlaw. And Gunnar stayed. He stayed till midwinter. And on the festival of midwinter, he dismissed his servants, for he knew there would be trouble soon. It was New Year's Day, and this is Iceland, and the sun does not rise at all in the day. When Gunnar looked out into the shadows, and it seemed to him he saw shifting shapes, men, a score of scores and more, coming through the darkness. And so he got his weapons. A great bow given to him by King Edgar, made of yew, a sword that he had taken, it was said, from the body of Egil himself. And he stayed by the window, looking out. All of a sudden, he took a yew bow and threw an arrow. Now that yew bow was greater than any man had in Iceland. He could throw an arrow full quarter of a mile. And it was true. Gunnar was right in the shifting shadows. The men had amassed, and the arrow flew and struck him. And he fell to the ground, dead. And Gunnar smiled joyous. And then he shot another arrow with another shifting shape, and another. And he waited, looking into the darkness. And it was true. He could fire when all else were blind, for the moon was in his favour, casting blue shadows over the land. And seeing that, the assassins, who were staying away from the house now, noted it. And their leader, Olaf the Peacock, Olaf of many tales, said, let us wait. Let us wait till the moon sets, and then we'll attack en masse. But do not go for Gunnar, but cut rather his bowstring. And so it was, they waited till the moon set. And when it was dark, they crept up, as many as them they were, and they rushed through the house, rushed towards the yard. But they did not aim for Gunnar, as he threw his bow and shot his arrows at them, but rather, one getting close enough, cut his bowstring, and all the rest fell back. Now Gunnar, when he felt his bowstring snapped, said to his wife and to his mother, who were together in the house, my bowstring has gone. But if it could be mended, they could not get to this door. I could hold them back till the sun rises. I could hold them back for spring, because I have enough arrows for them all. So, what do you say, Gunhild? Will you unplait 3 of your sacred tresses? Will you give me but 3 braids and make a bowstring? And Gunhild said, my hair is my own. I have served you long as a wife, and I have been a good wife, and you have been a good husband. But you cannot ask that of me, not as your wife. And Gunnar said, no, I do not ask you as a wife. I ask you as a man. Please give me your hair. And Gunhild said, do you remember my foster father? Do you remember Trollskild, whose murder started this? And Gunnar said, I remember. And Gunhild said, well, the day he died, I took his body and hid it in the rocks, so that no man might find it. And as I mourned him, I swore an oath, the kind of oath that he taught me as a girl to swear, that although I would serve you well as your wife, as I am a woman, I would not forget what you had done. And I swore it on the goddess of the dark of the moon, that if ever your life was beholden unto me, and it was not my duty as a wife to serve you, I would not. And now that day has come. I will not give you my hair. It is evil, you have said Gunnar's wife, Gunnar's mother. Gunhilda, you are a wicked woman, and men will judge you by these words. And Gunhild looked into the path and said, evil or not, they are my words, and I will not recant them. And she went out to her own quarters in the house, creeping perhaps out of a window, shifting as a shadow through the darkness. And Gunnar said, let her go, mother. I will not ask a favour of her if she will not give it. And he took his position at the window. And he waited. Now dawn did not come that day, for it was in the midwinter, but rather the light grew blue. And when the light grew blue, as if in the whisper of a vanished sun, the assassins came, all of them together, more than 100 still strong, running up to the house. And Gunnar stood there and threw them back with all the might, with all the strength of a giant. And as they were thrown back and scattered, one of them fell to the ground. It was Grettir the White, and he saw on the ground there was a quoit made of stone, as heavy as a millstone. And he remembered Gunnar used to laugh at him, that he could not throw a proper quoit. And so he waited, biding his time, till the next assault on Gunnar, when Gunnar was quite ready, quite occupied, throwing back the assassins. And as he threw them back, Grettir said, Gunnar, do you still like to play the game? And Gunnar, hearing his name, looked up, and the quoit came right, striking him on the forehead. And he fell back stunned. And he did not get up of it, for the assassins were on him, and they killed him. There, in his hole, they killed him. And then they said, now the house is ours, we will take it. But all of a sudden, two figures were before them. It was Olaf the Peacock and Grettir the White. And they said, no, we have slain a great man, and we'll gain no honour by it, and no honour for despoiling his house. The glory is all his. No, we will only get honour by how we treat him. Let us bury him. Let him take him up to holy Snædefell. Let us burn him there as a hero. Let us scatter his ashes amongst the hero's bones in the white of the snow. And so they took the body of Gunnar, and they invited all the people of Iceland. And they all came up into holy Snædefell, and there they built a pyre and burnt Gunnar on it. And he burnt long, burnt until the sun returned. And the people sang a sad song, remembering his glory, condemning, blessing him and his memory, giving him to the one-eyed god who he had joined. And as the sun rose and the ashes burnt low, they looked at the smoke as it hung over the island, across the sea, and they saw, coming from the east, a black boat with golden sails. And as they watched, they heard, coming from that boat, a carol sound, a Christian carol. For the boat was full of monks and full of warriors. With Bibles and swords they came into the great fjord of Reykjavik. And one by one, all the people of Iceland were. That's the first half.